I was in the bathroom, the door slightly ajar, washing the exhaustion of a soul-crushing day from my face. That's when I heard her, my fiancée, talking to her best friend, with no idea I could hear every word. I'm disgusted by him. Disgusted. I look at his face, and all I can think about is how much better my life was before. Before I got tied down in a relationship. Before having to sleep with the same person every single day. I miss sleeping with whoever I wanted, whenever I wanted. Frozen. It was as if my entire body just shut down. The tap was still running, water streaming over my hands, but I was static, a statue in my own bathroom, praying it was some sick joke, a line taken out of context, a voice in my head. But it wasn't. It was real. It was the woman I was going to marry, the woman I shared a bed with, shared plans with, shared bills and family with, the woman who called me love, who sent me texts saying I was the man of her life, who made plans for children, a house with a garden, a dog named Otto. And here she was, speaking with utter contempt, laughing at my existence as if I were a burden, a mistake, a limitation. Standing there, I understood that I had no idea who was living by my side. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I believed. I believed I had found someone who saw me, who chose me. We'd met through a group of friends. Nothing romantic, nothing forced. The connection was just natural. I've always been the quieter one, more practical. She was the opposite, extroverted, surrounded by friends, the kind of person who lit up a room the moment she walked in. It took me a while to open up, and she used to say that was part of what she loved most about me, that I was stable, that she felt safe with me, that I was different from anyone she'd ever known. In the beginning, she still went out a lot with her friends, making a point to keep her social life active. I understood. I'm not the kind of guy who needs to control where his woman is or who she's with. I trusted her, and she said she trusted me, too. After a while, she was the one who wanted to move in together. It was all fast, but it felt right. We shared a roof, a routine, and even with the normal difficulties, I thought we were okay. I thought it was real love. We started planning the wedding. Nothing extravagant. Something for us. Something that felt like us. I was excited. I'm not one for big displays, but I was. I saved every receipt, every quote, every detail. I wanted to make it work. I never imagined that behind the hugs, the plans, and the sweet nothings, there was this disgust, this repulsion. I'd started noticing things, even before that night. Small changes, subtle shifts. The tone of her voice would change when she was on the phone with her friends. It was like she became a different person, lighter, more alive. With me, she was always exhausted, always on edge. Any attempt at a real conversation turned into an argument. Any question I asked was met with, "What? Are you controlling me now?" But it wasn't control. It was just presence. The nights out with her friends became the rule, not the exception. Before, she would let me know, sometimes invite me along. Then it became a clipped, "I'm going out with the girls. Don't wait up." When she'd come home, she'd smell different. A strong perfume, a full face of makeup, and a sparkle in her eye that wasn't for me. I started sleeping less. I watched more. I wondered if I was going crazy, but I wasn't. She was leaving me, piece by piece, but she was still holding the keys to my apartment, and her name was still on the credit card I paid for. And then came the night that confirmed everything. That night was the tipping point. I came home tired, grimy, not even bothering to take off my shoes. She was on the phone, laughing loudly. Her friend's voice was coming through the speaker. They were talking about sex, about men. Girl, you don't get it. I can't take it anymore. Seriously. Sometimes I look at him and I just feel sick. He comes home from work all beat down, with that smell of cheap cologne and sweat, wanting a kiss. He's like a needy beggar. Her friend laughed. She continued, and do you remember how it was before? My God, every weekend was someone new. Every night out was chaos. I felt alive. Now, I just feel, I don't know, trapped. Her friend asked if she was thinking of ending things. Ending it? And lose the apartment? Lose the stability? He does everything for me. Treats me like a queen. I don't have to worry about a thing. I just have to pretend I still like him. She laughed again. Every now and then, I still give it to him to keep up appearances. But it's like a conjugal obligation, like some old fashioned marriage. The blood drained from my face. The air caught in my chest. I wanted to vomit with every word, but I kept listening. And the worst part is, he thinks everything's fine. He's planning a wedding, talking about kids. God forbid. Having a child with him? Never. I've been taking birth control behind his back, I told you. That's when I broke. The image of her, in peak hypocrisy, telling me she loved me, flashed in my mind. All the times she held my hand in front of others, all the whispered I love yous in the dark. It was all a lie. It was all about what she could use. But I didn't make a scene. I didn't storm into the room. I didn't confront her. I slept in my car that night. And the next morning, I woke up with a decision. The next morning, she woke up, and I wasn't there. When I walked into the apartment, she was already in the living room in her robe, looking at me with a confused expression. You disappeared last night. I slept out. Out where? In the car. She frowned, as if unaccustomed to my curt tone. What the hell is this now? Are you starting with the drama? I didn't answer. I went straight to the kitchen, poured my coffee, and drank it in silence. She followed me, expecting an explanation I had no intention of giving. I just looked at her, up and down, as if seeing a stranger. And in a way, I was. I no longer saw the woman who claimed to love me. I saw her for what she truly was. Starting that morning, I canceled the streaming account that only she used. I took my name off her gym membership. I locked the drawer where I kept the supplementary credit cards. I also canceled the salon membership she'd asked me to pay for. I started making it clear which bills were mine. The fridge stopped magically refilling itself. The unlimited food delivery stopped. And I removed her car from my insurance plan. The car was in her name, but the insurance, registration, maintenance, it all came out of my pocket. She drove it with the air of someone who had won at life, while I was the predictable man who paid for it all. The cancellation was quiet. I didn't tell her. She found out when she needed it. She called me, furious, telling me it was irresponsible to remove her coverage. I just replied, you said you wanted freedom. Go for it. But from now on, every dent is yours, literally. It wasn't for revenge. It was for my own sanity. I just wanted to see what would be left when the luxuries disappeared. The answer came quickly. The affection vanished along with them. She complained about everything. There's nothing in this house. You're being so weird. What do you want? For me to beg you for scraps? But I didn't want anything. I just wanted the truth to come out. And in flashes, I began to remember things she'd said about her exes. That guy was an asshole, but we had sex in the craziest places. Or, the other one made me feel alive, that thrill. I had laughed at the time. I thought it was normal. Who doesn't have a past? But now, those words stung because I understood she hadn't chosen the present. She had settled for it. She wasn't with me. She was against being alone. I was just a consolation prize. One evening, she sent me a text. "What happened with the grocery card? I'm trying to pay here and it was declined." I didn't reply. 5 minutes later, "Is it a glitch? Or did you cancel something?" More silence. When I got home, I found her sitting on the edge of the sofa, arms crossed, face set in a hard line. "Did something happen?" she asked, with that forced, sweet tone she used for manipulation. "No." "Then why did you cancel the card?" "Because it doesn't make sense for me to pay for things that only you use." She arched an eyebrow. "Oh, so you're going to be that kind of guy now?" I stood there, looking her directly in the eyes. "What kind of guy?" "A controlling, chauvinist pig. The kind who wants to keep his woman dependent, but only until he loses control. Then he starts cutting everything off." I laughed. For the first time in weeks, I truly laughed. No, I'm just the kind of guy who doesn't want to support someone who is disgusted by him, who has sex out of obligation, who misses sleeping around, and who says all of this to her friends while I'm in the next room washing my face. She went pale. Her breath hitched. She tried to deny it, to deflect. You must have misheard." I heard every word, every laugh, every detail, including the part about the secret birth control. That I will never forget. She started talking fast, like someone trying to put out a forest fire with a leaky bucket. "It wasn't like that. We were just joking. It's girl talk. You know how it is." "No, I don't. And I don't want to." She moved closer, placing a hand on my arm. I fought the urge to pull away, but my body recoiled from her touch. "It was just a vent, okay? I'm stressed. The wedding, the routine. I feel lost sometimes. And when you feel lost, you mock me behind my back?" "I never said you were a bad person. You said you were disgusted by me." She swallowed hard. For a second, it looked like she might cry, but she didn't. Because to cry for real, you have to feel something. And all she knew how to do was act. "So what now? Are you going to kick me out?" she asked, her tone a mix of irony and fear. "No, I just want you to know that from this day forward, every cent that comes into this house is mine. And anything you want, you pay for. I'm not kicking you out, but I'm no longer funding a lie." She lost it. She started screaming, calling me a coward. She said I was turning into a monster, that I was gaslighting her. She threw a cushion at me. She cried, real or fake tears, I couldn't tell. She said I was the one to blame for her feeling trapped, that I had killed her sparkle, that the old version of her was happier. "Then go back to being that version," I said calmly. "Go find your nights out. You're different men. Just don't do it with my bank account or inside my home." She stormed out, slamming the door. She went to a friend's house. A message came later. "You destroyed everything. Congratulations." I didn't reply. She tried to play the victim, the poor, emotionally betrayed woman. But it was too late. The mask had fallen. And once you see who a person really is, you can't unsee it. She thought she'd made a power move, leaving, slamming the door, blaming me and running to her friends, probably expecting me to break down and beg her to come back. But I didn't chase her. I didn't text. I didn't call. I said nothing. And since she left of her own free will, I simply accepted the gift. I changed the code on my digital lock and informed building security that, until further notice, no one was to be let in without my authorization. I didn't kick anyone out. I just reinforced reality. She chose to leave. She was silent for 2 days. On the third, a tearful message appeared. I just needed some space. You didn't even try to understand me. I just sent you so back. Don't bother me. You were the one who opened the door and walked out. She didn't reply. The next morning, an email notification popped up. The wedding caterer, wanting to confirm the menu adjustments. I called and canceled everything. The dress? I'd made the down payment on my card. I called the shop and stopped the payment. I lost some of the deposit, of course, but let it be a lesson. Never again would I pay for a dream that wasn't mine. My wedding band? I sold it. I walked into the first jewelry store I saw that bought gold, slid the box onto the counter, and took whatever they offered. Less than half of what I'd paid. I signed the papers, put the cash in my pocket, and walked out. It wasn't about the money. It was about burying the symbol. I sent a message to the wedding planner, thanking her and saying that plans had changed. No long explanation, no dramatic announcement, just the raw truth. It was over. An hour later, my phone rang. It was her. I didn't answer. A few minutes later, a text. Are you just canceling everything without even talking to me? Why would I? We're not a couple anymore, remember? This isn't the life you wanted. You said it yourself, with your own words. I'm just giving you your freedom. She lost it. You're twisting everything, you bastard. I left because I needed to breathe, not because I wanted to end it. The difference is, now you can breathe without me paying for your oxygen. That same night, her mother called me. Polite, but with that passive-aggressive tone. My daughter is devastated. She said it was a misunderstanding, that you two need to talk like adults. She had her chance to be an adult, I replied. She chose to mock me behind my back. What I'm doing now is living with the truth of who she is. That's all. But don't you want to try to save it? Save what? A business plan? A contract? No. The only thing I'm saving right now is myself. I hung up. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The apartment was silent. No drama. No life force being drained out of me by her presence. She tried to come back a few times. She called. She messaged. She sent tearful voice notes, claiming it was just a moment of madness, that she didn't mean any of it. I listened to it all in silence, never responding. One day, she showed up at the building and tried to get in. The doorman called up to my apartment to confirm. Sir, your fiancée is here. She says she forgot her key to the building's gate and wants to come up. She's not my fiancée anymore. You can inform her that even with a key, she is no longer authorized to enter. Entry is denied. The employee paused, then hung up. She sent one last voice message that night. She said I was being cold, disproportionate, that every couple goes through crises, that she only wanted to be heard. But what she really wanted was to flip the script, to go back to being the victim. Not this time. I set boundaries, and I stuck to every single one of them. She never came back, but she left half of her mess in my house, as if a part of her still belonged there. Over the weekend, I went to the corner market and asked for 3 cardboard boxes, the kind they use for packing goods. I gathered everything that was hers: clothes, makeup, books, accessories, shoes, the cream scattered across the bathroom, decorations I never cared about, everything. I didn't burn it, I didn't throw it away. I simply returned what was never mine. I drove to her mother's house, buzzed the intercom, and waited. When her mother appeared at the gate, gripping the bars, she looked at me with surprise. "Hi, do you want to come in?" "No, I just came to drop this off. It's your daughter's things. It's all there." "But aren't you two going to talk? You and her?" "There's nothing to talk about. She made her choices. I'm just closing out my obligations." She tried to insist with that pitying look that irritates more than it comforts. "She regrets it, she's suffering." "Suffering doesn't erase intent," I said. "It just shows that the consequences have arrived. Good night." I got back in my car. I drove in silence. For the first time, I felt like I was closing a chapter with clean hands, simply ending what was already over. But the peace didn't last. A day later, my mother called. She contacted me. She said she wanted to talk to you, that she still loves you. "Mom, don't get into this." "But she seemed so lost, son." She apologized. She cried. She should have cried before she laughed at me with her friend. My mother fell silent. 2 days after I left the boxes at her mother's house, my phone rang again. It was my father. He'd been going to the hospital frequently for chemotherapy, with sessions scheduled every 3 weeks. He wasn't admitted, but the weariness was written all over his face. His voice on the phone no longer had the same weight. It was quieter, more measured, as if each word cost him a bit of strength. "Son," he said, almost in a whisper, "listen, maybe it's worth talking to her calmly." Just from his tone, I knew. She had gone to him. She reached out to us, said she still loves you, that she's sorry, that you misunderstood things. A rage I didn't want to feel rose up in me. "Dad, she went to you? Now, of all times?" He tried to smooth things over, as he always does. "She seemed sincere, son. She said she was confused, that she got lost in the middle of it all. Dad, she told me she was disgusted by me, that she slept with me out of obligation, that she faked it, that she was secretly on birth control while I was making plans for a child, for your sake, because I wanted to give you a grandchild before this illness takes what it still can." There was a long moment of silence on the other end. "I carried that marriage for you too, because I know you dream of it. Seeing the family continue, having a grandchild, seeing a new generation carry your name. I tried, Dad, but she laughed at it all like it was a joke. And now she's using you, right when you're at your most vulnerable." He didn't answer right away. When he spoke, his voice came out with effort. "I just wanted to see you happy, son. That's all." "Then listen to me. I'm closer to that now than I've been in years, even alone, even hurt. I'm clean. I'm at peace, Dad." He sighed slowly and said, with a calm that reassured me, reminding me of the good father he was, "All right, son. I understand, and I'm with you. I always have been." And he hung up. I thought it would all end there. I was wrong. She tried to contact my mother again. She sent texts, called, apologized, said she never meant to harm anyone, that she was in therapy, that she wanted a chance to explain herself. My mother told me, with the hesitation of someone who doesn't want to get involved, but also doesn't want to hide things. She called again today, son. She wanted to come over, said she misses me and your father. I took a deep breath and called her. For the first time since everything, she answered with a low, meek voice, the kind she only uses when she wants to manipulate. Hi, you called? I called to make one thing clear. You will not speak to my parents again. You will not even try. She was silent. They have nothing to do with what you destroyed. My father is fighting cancer. My mother is holding everything together. And you had the audacity to drag them into this? She tried to stammer something. I just wanted to apologize, really. If your apology is honest, you can keep it to yourself, because it has no value here anymore. Didn't you say you missed that sleeping around? You're free now, so stop bothering us. If you contact them again, I will file a harassment complaint. This isn't a threat, it's a warning. Do you understand? She took a sharp breath, as if swallowing her shame. Yes, understood. Good luck with your new life, and forget me. I hung up. And in that moment, I felt the door had truly been closed. When someone shows you who they are, you have two choices. Believe them, or fool yourself a little longer. I believed her, and it was the best decision of my life. I lost time, I lost money, I lost plans, but I gained something priceless: the freedom from being deceived in my own home. And if there's one piece of advice I can leave you with, it's this: never ignore what's right in front of your eyes. The truth hurts, but living a lie kills you slowly. So, what would you do in my place? Would you have the courage to cut all ties at once? Or would you have given one more chance? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget, there's a new story every week. Subscribe to the channel to become part of our family and never miss out. And if you want to support us even more, consider becoming a channel member by clicking the Join button. Until next time.